What would you do if the people meant to welcome you as family turned their backs instead? For Michael Carter, the sting of rejection wasn't just a slight, it was a spark that ignited a fire within him. At 34, Michael had built a life of quiet resilience, a man who rose from modest roots to a tech entrepreneur with a fortune few could imagine. Yet, no amount of success could shield him from the cold dismissal of his in-laws, the prestigious Hendersons, who saw him as an outsider unworthy of their elite circle. Their latest slight? A family retreat at an exclusive Caribbean resort where Michael was told, with a polite but cutting smile, there was no room for him. Michael stood in the living room of his sleek San Francisco penthouse, the city skyline glittering beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. His wife, Emily, paced nervously, her phone clutched tightly as she relayed her parents' words. They said the resort's fully booked for the family retreat, she murmured, her voice tinged with guilt. It's just their immediate family this time. Michael's jaw tightened. Immediate family. After 5 years of marriage, he was still an afterthought to the Hendersons, a man whose bank account they respected, but whose presence they tolerated at best. Emily's eyes pleaded for understanding, but Michael felt something Elsia resolve hardening in his chest. He wasn't going to beg for a seat at their table. He'd build his own. The next morning, Michael sat at his desk, the hum of his laptop filling the silence. He didn't tell Emily what he was planning. She'd only try to talk him out of it. With a few clicks, he pulled up the website for Serenity Cove, the luxurious resort in Turks and Caicos where the Hendersons had planned their retreat. A quick call to his assistant, a discreet wire transfer, and a conversation with the resort's owner sealed the deal. By noon, Michael had booked the entire resort for the week of the retreat. Every room, every villa, every inch of the pristine beaches and infinity pools his. The Hendersons' reservation quietly canceled, with a note that the resort was now under exclusive private booking. As the days passed, Michael kept his plan under wraps, even from Emily. He wanted the moment to land with full impact. The Hendersons had always prided themselves on their influence, their ability to secure what others couldn't. This time, Michael would turn the tables. He packed his bags, kissed Emily goodbye, and boarded a private jet to Turks and Caicos, his heart pounding with a mix of defiance and anticipation. The retreat was in 3 days. He had work to do. Serenity Cove was a paradise of turquoise waters and swaying palms, but Michael wasn't there to relax. He met with the resort staff, ensuring every detail was perfect. The dining hall would serve Emily's favorite dishes, the spa would offer her beloved lavender-scented treatments, and the beach would host a private concert by a band she adored. This wasn't just about proving a point, it was about showing Emily that he could give her the world, even if her family refused to see it. On the day the Hendersons were set to arrive, Michael stood on the resort's grand terrace, watching a private yacht approach the dock. Emily's parents, Richard and Vivian, stepped off first, their designer sunglasses glinting in the sun. Behind them were Emily's siblings, her cousins, and a gaggle of extended family, all expecting their usual VIP treatment. Michael's heart raced as he saw Emily, her expression a mix of confusion and worry. She hadn't known he'd be here. She hadn't known any of this. The family's smug confidence faltered when the resort manager greeted them with an apologetic smile. "I'm terribly sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Henderson," she said, her tone professional but firm. "Your reservation was canceled due to an exclusive booking. The resort is closed to all other guests this week." Richard's face reddened, his voice rising. "This is outrageous. Do you know who I am?" The manager glanced at Michael, who stepped forward, his presence calm but unyielding. "Actually, Richard," Michael said, his voice steady, "I'm the one who booked the resort. All of it." The silence that followed was electric. Vivian's mouth opened, then closed. Emily's eyes widened, a flicker of pride mixing with her shock. The family stood frozen, their entitlement crumbling under the weight of Michael's quiet power. But then came the twist Michael hadn't anticipated. From the back of the group, a small figure emerged, an elderly woman with silver hair and a warm, weathered smile. It was Clara, Emily's great-aunt, a woman Michael had met only once at their wedding. Clara had been kind then, slipping him a quiet word of encouragement when the Hendersons' coldness had been palpable. Now, she stepped forward, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "Well, Michael," she said, her voice carrying over the stunned crowd, "it seems you've outdone them all. I told Emily she married a keeper." The family turned to her, bewildered, as she continued, "I've got no patience for this nonsense about no room. You've made room for all of us, haven't you?" Michael hadn't expected an ally, least of all one who could shift the mood so effortlessly. Clara's words broke the tension, and a few cousins chuckled nervously. Emily crossed the dock to Michael, her hand finding his. "You did this?" she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. He nodded, squeezing her hand. "For us," he said simply. What followed was a week unlike any the Hendersons had ever experienced. Michael opened a resort to the family, but on his terms. He invited them to dinners where he sat at the head of the table, to beach parties where he and Emily danced under the stars. Some, like Richard, grumbled at first, their pride bruised. But others, especially the younger cousins, gravitated toward Michael's warmth, his lack of pretense. Clara became his unexpected partner in crime, regaling the family with stories of her own rebellious youth, each tale subtly reinforcing Michael's point. Family isn't about exclusivity, it's about making space. By the week's end, even Vivian softened, her icy demeanor thawing as she watched Emily laugh freely, unburdened by her family's usual expectations. On the final night, as the family gathered for a bonfire on the beach, Richard approached Michael, his expression grudging but sincere. "You didn't have to do this," he said, his voice low, "but I'm glad you did." It wasn't an apology, but it was close enough. Michael nodded, letting the moment pass without gloating. This wasn't about winning, it was about belonging. As the fire crackled and the waves lapped the shore, Emily leaned against Michael, her head on his shoulder. "You didn't just book a resort," she whispered. "You gave me my family back, but better." Michael smiled, the weight of years of rejection lifting. He hadn't just claimed a place among the Hendersons, redefined what family could mean. The retreat ended, but its impact lingered. Back in San Francisco, Michael noticed a shift. Invitations to Henderson family events now included his name, not as an afterthought, but as a given. Clara sent him a handwritten note, her words simple but profound. "You didn't just buy a resort, Michael. You built a bridge." For Michael, it was enough. He hadn't needed the Hendersons' approval to know his worth, but he'd shown the man himself that he could carve out a space where love, not status, defined family. In the quiet moments when he and Emily sat together, watching the city lights, Michael felt a peace he hadn't known he was seeking. The Hendersons had said there was no room for him, but he'd made room not just for himself, but for a better version of them all. And in that act, he found something greater than revenge, a legacy of belonging that no one could take away.